Gamers, who's ready for some more modern action? I'm, of course, NanMans. Thanks for tuning in and watching, everybody. We've got Jund Saga versus Izzet Eldrazi. Two of these kind of weirder, mid-rangey, kind of middle-tier decks, if you will. We'll break it down and talk a little bit about what both the decks are trying to do. We'll get in and do a little bit of commentary for today's episode. Of course, if you're joining us, we do have gameplay coverage every Monday and Thursday. So if you're not subscribed yet, consider subscribing to the channel because there is weekly gameplay coverage for Modern for you to be able to enjoy, as well as a sprinkling of other cool stuff. We'll be doing some Commander content to help raise money over the weekend coming up for Twitch. Of course, there'll be donation links and stuff like that for people that are interested in doing some donation stuff. You guys can check out the description for more info for that. But starting things out, we got double Devourer of Destiny, and we get to see at least a little bit of a, like here's some like cheeky cards that are in here for it. So the Izzet Eldrazi is a really interesting one. A lot of people are testing out and trying out different versions of Eldrazi that aren't like the traditional side of things. Things like Null Drifter and stuff is a big reason for it. I'm wondering if, like Ugin's Binding was one of those cards that got spoiled that never really found a home. Maybe people have experimented with it in like the mono blue Tron style, but maybe the Izzet Eldrazi might be one that would be worth it. Give you some useful tools to kind of bounce things. But it's basically going to be utilizing things like Null Drifter and, ramping up, and you still get access to cool, blue and red stuff like lightning bolts and things like that. So it's an interesting build. Well, the Jund Saga side of things, if you are an old school Modern player like myself, you are familiar with Jund, kind of the mid-range red, black, and green deck that is existing. It utilizes tools very similar. Like a couple months ago, I had this as a shadow list, and I have since switched it up and shifted it into a saga list to utilize the artifacts and other kind of useful tools. Urza Saga is just really good. I mean, it's, you basically pull the shadow package out and you put in the saga package. Urza Saga's some artifacts, good one-drop artifacts in there. Otherwise, the list is very similar to like a Jund shadow list. But seeing the cards there in hand kind of gives us a little bit more information about what we're fighting against. And if you're not as familiar with the list, it's important to kind of understand what the both decks are trying to do. So like if you go to play at your locals or you're playing online, you get to start understanding what is the initial lines the deck is trying to utilize. How could I disrupt this? How could I try to progress my own game plan here? And so we do get to see a little bit of this, like, okay, Thoughtseize and Disruption is the way the Jund Saga list is trying to do that. Try to disrupt and delay and stop and mess with what the opponent is doing while eventually being able to drop down some threats. Speaking of which, first threat is hitting the board with the Nethergoyf. And it's a nice little 3/4 there. Now, Nethergoyf, very similar to the Tarmogoyf, but it does only care about the cards in your graveyard, where Tarmogoyf cares about both you and your opponent. The other side of the thing, the Izzet Eldrazi, of course, does have a little bit of options. Null Drifter is going to be the choice here, so we're doing it for the evoke costs. There are ways to kind of stop the evoke trigger to kind of help keep it around, so you don't have to sacrifice it, but we don't have any of those in hand, so we just get, all right, draw 2, just throw it in the graveyard. If you can land that, though, and start annihilating your opponent's stuff, annihilate 1 is not too big a deal, but thank you, Windows, for the notification. That is not necessary right now. Get out of here. We're busy commentating. We're busy watching Magic. So we've got a little bit of the normal Eldrazi type package that anyone that's playing is like Devourer of Destinies, and you have, of course, Ugin's Labyrinth, stuff like that. But Liliana of the Veil is going to try to stick around here. This will be useful, help disrupt our opponent some more, shredding some more of the cards that are in hand. Also allowing us to grow the Goyf a bit here because a Tarfire gets thrown in there, so that counts towards double. So we've got Artifact, we've got Sorcery, we've got Land, we've got Instant, and now we have that Kindred or Tribal spell in there as well. So 5/6, and we can start the beatdown going. But the mana count's getting higher, all right? 2, 3, 4, 5 currently available, and we could make that even more so depending on what is going to be the case. All right, losing a life. And because it's Izzet, we get things like this. We get to go with Jace the Mind Sculptor here. So this is going to be an interesting one. Like, brainstorming going to be really nice, really useful here. You could also just bounce the Nethergoyf and go that route. You'd minus to do that. I feel like those are kind of the two things. Fate Sealing is not going to be an option here. We're not going to +2 Jace, so we're more likely than not just going to brainstorm and maybe set ourselves up and hope to cast a Devour maybe the following turn or something like that. So this leaves us with the option and the debate now. Okay, do we worry and try to kill off the Jace here? Oh, so look at this. 2 big Eldrazi's there. So that is nice. Yeah, so we are in the debate. Putting these 2 on top. Trying to make the choice here. Land for turn. Pitching another lovely creature. Going with the Kozilek pitched. So that's also that impending doom moment there where you look at that and you go, oh, okay. You're building up a high mana count for that. Now, the option as the Jund player comes back to their turn, they have to make that choice. Do we just kill Jace off here, stop the card advantage that you're generating off it, or ignore it and go for the race method and just swing 5 at face, dropping them to 9? I don't know. It's the amount of advantage that you get off Jace is a lot. Like brainstorming, bouncing, doing things like that. So Lava Spur Boots, that helps a little bit more. Giving some ward. Ward 1, haste, +1 attack, so essentially a 6/6. More upticking, forcing some cards to get discarded. Another land going out. So yeah, again, it's like 6 damage to face is pretty good, but Jace is scary, so Jace gets killed off here. Let's see, how much mana do we have? 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is a Devourer of Destiny or a Null Drifter turn. Like 7 is a scary number for the deck to get it. Devourer of Destiny is the one. So we've got a cast trigger and get rid of exiling target permanent. That's one of more colors. Which sucks because a Goyf would have loved to have had a Planeswalker hit the graveyard and grow even bigger. So 6/6 versus a 6/6 here makes it tough. Second Goyf coming out. They're both 5/6s. So equip. I mean, push for damage. You know, we're assuming one of them's going to get eaten. Probably the 6/6. We'll take 5.
5 and 6, so 11 total.
11. Or we just take it all and deal with the consequences. But I think the trade-off makes the most sense. So you're going to eat the 5/6 here. Take 6. Oh, drop to 8. And if we had ignored Jace and just pushed for damage last turn, then our opponent would be in a much scarier position.
One card left.
One card left in hand. Still counting. 7 mana. Hard casting the Null Drifter here. Yep, going for the 7. Bam, there's an Old Drifter. Of course, when you cast it, draw 2 cards. Very nice, very nice. It's a play on Mold Drifter for any of you, again, old school Magic players out there. Now, if you're looking at these decks, a lot of them are up on Moxfield, but if just in case one of them is missing, leave a comment. Let us know what deck is missing, what list you'd like to see. We're trying to keep up and track of all the lists that are featured on the channel. Of course, I have my certain lists favorited, the ones that I play more often than not on the channel. And then, of course, I still have piles of lists that aren't on the favorited section. But we are swinging in. It is a 6/7 because, of course, Goyf adds a creature count. So, essentially a 7/7. Double block coming out here, and we'll deal damage here. 6 there, 1 there. Main phase 2, we've got a bolt to clear that off, and now no more threats left. And there's 2 Goyfs in the graveyard, so this like 3 mana available kind of opens up for unearthing that. Yeah, there we go. It's going to be escaping. Of course, that counts towards 2, 3, and you need to be able to get rid of 4. So, instant or sorcery there. Sorcery's going to go away.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, 4 or 5 Goyf. Still pretty solid. Now, there is the Kozilek's Command we see, and that is the scary card that exists for the Izzet Eldrazi, being able to exile a permanent, like specifically a creature, but also like the card advantage. Let's generate a bunch of spawns. Let's draw some cards. Well, draw 1 card. Scry a bunch of cards. But we set ourselves up, and knowing that there is the Butcher of Truth here, another Devourer of Destiny, like you could try to plan for an explosive following turn. Yeah, counting the mana. Let's see, 2 mana. Oh, another Talisman.
You've got 1 card.
Correct. Orange chant or something. Actually, you can't cast that kick, right? I'm not sure. You guys pronounce that through?
All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana next turn.
Equip. Lava Spur Boots.
Equipping the Lava Spur Boots.
That's fine.
All right, equipment is fine, and that hesitation there is like, okay, looks like we're probably going to lose this Goyf, especially with the let's move our talismans together for no particular reason here. All right, fetching down to 7. Now we had to use a bolt already. Yeah, we haven't gotten any Urza Sagas though. We or a Shadow Spear or something to help like set ourselves up to push for extra damage or do something like that. There's big. All right, so we're going to do for 5, X is 5, and we're going to scry and draw, and we're going to make a bunch of Eldrazi spawns. So we're not worried about the exile. We could have gone for the exile effect, like that, and just have paid the ward cost for it, which is it's only ward 1. But we're setting up for the following turn. So we can sit here and scry and really set up. Oh, look, there's another Null Drifter there. There's another Kozilek's Command. Yeah, you see the lands immediately get pulled aside and go, these aren't really, we have all the mana we need. So it's like, what order now do we want the specific cards? So one of which is like, I'm going to draw this immediately, which is the Null Drifter, which is fine. it's going to be good for next turn, but also for the following turn. We want to set up for the next card, right? What card will we draw on our actual turn? All right, Eldrazi spawn's going to get thrown in the way. Because this is all, of course, before blocks and all that.
Good to go to damage.
All right, some of them will die. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 mana available. Main phase 2, we're gonna go for the. We've had this in our hand for a long time. Like I saw the Abrupt Decay. It's like a dead card in this matchup because there's very few things that are 3 mana or less. We probably could have blown up the Talisman earlier and disrupted our opponent more, but now we're just sort of like, okay, let's try to slow things down a little bit more. But 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mana. Yeah. So options here are pay the ward cost, get rid of the Nether Goyf, but be able to utilize like a Devour or something like that. Get that back because we still have plenty of mana. Or, do the Null Drifter, get more resources, draw more cards. Or set ourselves up for a Kozilek. And looks like that's going to be our line here. So lots of options available, and that's the fun, exciting thing about Magic is kind of understanding the lines, learning the lines of a deck. What am I going to do in certain situations? How am I going to kind of utilize this specific strategy to help me get to victory? And we're going to see gobbling up of a bunch of our resources here. Eldrazi Spawn's going to get utilized and turned into Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. When you cast it, draw 4 cards. Also has an Annihilator 4, and then the anti-mill effect there of being able to shuffle it in. But the scary parts are refilling the hand and having Annihilator 4. Like, we know that when the attack comes, basically all 4 lands are going to go away. If our goal is to rely on the Nether Goyf here. But that's, like, also, super risky, knowing that there's a bunch of stuff. Tarfire is going to get used not on face, but on the spawn. Growing the Goyf again. Is there anything else that we could do here? Escape a Goyf. Equip the Lava Spur boots. Push for damage. Damage goes down low. Our opponent would be, I don't know, we'd have to escape a lot of stuff. Our Goyfs would be very, very small, like only like 2 power or something like that. Yeah, we'd have to get rid of a land, an artifact. Oh, we might not even have 4 cards, 4 different. We have 4 because we're a 5/6. Oh, we just put the tribal in there. So we'd eat that. We could eat the land and the artifact. But yeah, so doing the math, how many cards are in the Izzet Eldrazi's hand? We're going to go to game 2. Go to sideboard time. Both players going to sit here, go through, try to plan out, find some tools to kind of help them out here. And we know there's some dead cards in the Jund Saga list because there's things like Fatal Pushes and Abrupt Decays and stuff like that that you're going, well, this doesn't help us when you're casting 7 mana creatures, 10 mana creatures, right? Those, we got to find other ways to go for the fight here.
It just hasn't really been like a good rat deck, you kind of want to.
Bless you. Bless you.
Player sneezing. When I was doing the editing, I was in Discord with a bunch of people, and the sneeze happened, and I thought somebody in Discord sneezed. All right, another Devourer of Destiny reveal here that, of course, gets us those top 4 look on our upkeep.
Let's see what else you're hiding.
But let's see what else we can strip away here. So Devour, Sire, and Mana drain, and 4 lands. Not a bad hand, knowing that you get to do a cheeky peek with the Devour and set yourself up for the following turn. You get some disruption, and if your sire is able to land like the lifelink, like it's got 7 different keywords on there, so it is really a scary threat to have to be fighting against. Who remembers all of the keywords? Anybody? This is your chance. Leave a comment. I don't even remember. I'm going to have to look them up. Yeah, Sire goes away.
The rest of these goodies back. And then I'll pass.
All right. First Strike, Vigilance, Menace, Trample, Reach, Lifelink, and Ward pay 7 life. So, yeah, that's a bit of a problem. Bit of a problem. Don't want that. Get him out of here.
I haven't played with this version of Affinity ever, so.
All right, so the Devourer, we're going to pitch away these, put this mystery card on top, which we'll draw for turn. Going for the Lightning Bolt here over the Kozilek's Command. I don't know. I think, personally, I like the utility and flexibility of the Kozilek's Command. It sets us up that we can draw cards, we can make spawns, we could exile some stuff. Like we saw, like Nethergoyf's a 1 toughness, so it's like, oh, okay.
Let's do it again.
All right, let's follow it up with another one and an Urza Saga. So we didn't see any Urza Saga previously.
I mean, it was like,
We'll get rid of your
there's
Devourer.
like one lane on
And now we can get rid of the Devourer. So getting rid of the 7 drops are important because it messes up what is able to get pitched with like the Ugin's Labyrinth and things like that. But really just sort of like, okay, set ourselves up, boom, 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 play Urza Saga and Disrupt. Urza Saga, Disrupt, and hope that the way things are leaning up is we don't necessarily need a lot of threats right now. We don't need the Goyfs. Because the Jund Saga list that I'm running is running both Tarmogoyf and Nethergoyf. And we don't really need to worry about either of them right now. We can try to get some sort of advantage with Urza Saga.
I'm sorry, can you do that one more time?
Is that a Murloc sound?
Yeah, that's it.
What else you got?
All right, getting the Surveil going. Keeping it on top. We're fine with it. Let's see, what do we keep on top? Oh, Devourer. Okay, yeah. Makes sense. We've lost a bunch of our 7 drops, so we're trying to assemble it, set ourselves up so we do have the mana leak available. So the option is like, do we force the issue and force our opponent to utilize it now? Bobble.
Pass turn.
Hate to see it.
So no real payoff at the moment. We're still in setup mode, and because it's not like we're fighting an aggro deck right now as our Eldrazi, the Izzet Eldrazi player, they have a lot more time to be like, okay, I've been disrupted a bunch. I'm not on my game plan that I originally had tried to set up for this game too. So how do I kind of navigate my way through things to set myself up? Because it does feel like the longer the game goes on, the Tron or Eldrazi or, you know, those like big mana decks tend to do better because the top deck modes, the live draws available to them are scarier and more impactful than what like the mid-rangey lists are going to be able to construct.
And then I'm going to make a construct.
All right, we're going to make a construct and everyone's favorite token. Now, we talk about all the time about which tokens to use. You know, I, of course, when I play Commander, have the Infinite tokens that I use. and I love it when I do my cube stuff. I do infinite tokens, but when it's modern, I have my modern quiver. I just have like a bunch of random tokens, and one of which is these lovely little elementals.
Make another construct.
Make another construct. And we get response, and that's where that lightning bolt comes in, kills off,
I'll go and round.
and then it becomes another one. So instead of having 2, we've only got to fight down 1, which is a little bit easier. Shadow Spear is pretty nice. So not going for a hasty effect. We're actually planning for some trample and seeing like all the Eldrazi spawns that are created. This kind of helps us pierce through that a little bit more. And there's a reason we did not pop our bauble right now either. Like growing that construct is more impactful. Yeah, not much available to us. Shivan Reef here. Very good. A little bit of a pain land.
I'd like to equip the Shadow Spear onto
Equipping the Shadow Spear. Giving it +1/+1. Trample. Lifelink.
move to combat. Here's 4 damage coming your way.
Also, Shadow Spear's like increase in price. Like I always forget how much it costs because of like modern and stuff like that. It's like a $30 card or something like that. $40 card. I don't know. Like seems crazy to me. Let me look. Let's see what TCG player says. Right now, yeah, $30, $25, $28. So it's all over the place. Do we have reprintings of it recently? Very likely. I don't know. Oh, there's so many different versions of it. Okay, so it depends on which version you want, right? If you want the extended art, do you want the secret lair stuff? Do you want... Yeah, okay. That makes more sense. But yeah, the whole point of it is the trample and the lifelink, right? And we'll see how, like, putting a clock on our Eldrazi player now. 4 damage.
Main phase 2. Would like to try to
All right.
this Liliana.
Now we're forcing the issue with the... Yeah. Mana leak, just pay 2 mana, counter the spell.
Pass turn after that.
Mana leak is nice. It gives us a little bit of protection as the Eldrazi player. We can't really afford to run counterspell outright. Like the double blue casting cost is too difficult for this list to run. But one single blue, that's easy. We've got talismans. We've got our surveil lands, some shock lands in here. We've got the Shivan Reef. Like there's a lot of ways to just generate one blue. But you just see how much colorless is in the list. So, oh, speaking of Steam Vents there, Shockland entering taps because we don't have the payoff. I mean, we get a Devour, right? But what, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana, so there's no point. Next turn we can cast it. All right, what do we got? Oh, a Break the Ice is nice. Destroying an Ugin's Labyrinth. Going to try to keep our opponent off mana for a bit. No overload here, but still, that's kind of one of the nice ways to kind of disrupt your opponent and mess with some Eldrazi players a little bit. I've run a couple of those in the sideboard of both my Jund Saga list, but also of my Dimir list. But Ren and 6 going to come out, giving us a little bit more flexibility to utilize Urza Saga more than once. So that's one of the nice things and reasons players will run Jund Sagas is for cards like the Ren and 6 and things like that. Now, sadly, I don't have very many copies of Ren and 6 anymore because I sold a bunch of them. Because I was like, I am not much of a Jund player. I don't play this card very often. It luckily has gone down in price. It's, I don't know, like $15, $20 or something like that for it. So, because again, it doesn't see much play anymore. But I've got 2 copies of it right now. One in my cube and one in this deck. Probably should run more because it is a, Urza Saga list. But I like the kind of mid-rangey elements of it. Ren and 6 and having Liliana. I would assume most players are off Lily at this point in time, but I still like it. I don't. It is basically Jund mid-range with the Urza Saga elements. And the Urza Saga has been putting in work for game 2, on the back of the disruptions, on the back of the thought seizes, the break the ice. It allows us to kind of go and set ourselves up in this sort of position. But okay, we're going to go and get rid of the token. Scry 5 and draw a card. We lose our elemental. Our 1/0 water horse elemental. Who remembers what actually makes that token? Something blue, obviously. Who else is an old school player like me? All right. Setting up with some more mana here. Because again, if we can get up enough, we just hard cast the Devour. All right, keep uptaking Ren. Next turn, we get to cast our Urza Saga a second time. We're going to have 2 more constructs coming out. One with Shadow Spear available. One that we could just give haste. All right, we're passing. We're setting ourselves up. Like you can see, the mana is set up in specific ways to kind of help measure it out. That's what I'm also curious is how you set your mana up. Like you can see, mine's usually in piles of 2. Sometimes players are like, okay, these are all unique stuff. Sometimes players are like, everything's together. There's a pile of 5 cards together. Jace is going to come out again, try to help give us some brainstorming and set ourselves up even more because it's kind of we're in this situation of just sort of like, yeah, we're good. We don't have to stress and worry as much. We're not under too much pressure. Okay, what do we got? A bolt again? So that saves us from 1, right? Yeah. Shivan Reef will put us to 10.
Each squeeze of a spray bottle's trigger emits 0.024 ounces of water.
Right now, 3/3 construct. Yeah, so we'll go to 10. Lightning bolt to kill the construct. Response is bolting the Eldrazi player, dropping them to 7, and they scoop it up there. So here's what would have we would have had a 4 power, 5, 6 power creature to attack with, and then Ren and 6 that 1 last damage to finish them off. So yeah, Izzet Eldrazi player says nope. That's fine. We'll go to game 3. And we're going to be getting into it here. Time is running low. You're looking at the clock that we've got here. Gameplay, we're sitting at about 30-some minutes into our game clock for the video, but that does not actually accurately depict how much time the match has gone because we cut out all of the sideboard stuff. There's no point in putting it on here at this point in time. One of these days we'll do special edition videos where we might have face cams or something like that, and we allow players to have discussions for it. But because it's so much extra production side of things to get to that point, we have not started to put it into our regular content. All right. Who's ready to see a misplay coming up? Thoughtseize is going to come out. Again, it's all right, we see the threats, the scary things. Kozilek's command is stripped away. Null Drifter is going to get pitched underneath of our Ugin's Labyrinth here. And who's ready for that misplay? Get ready. Fetch land. Nope. Let's respond. Hey, what happens if you decide to counter target activated or triggered ability? And then we can respond, of course, and kill it, but we basically get got. We read the information and saw that that was a line and just let ourselves get blown out. Yes, we killed it, but was it worth it? No, because we needed that other black source, because we got greedy. We got so greedy there because we have a break the ice. So we go, oh my gosh, we can get rid of that Null Drifter and the Ugin's Labyrinth all at once, and basically try to close the game there. But we didn't. We got greedy and got for it. So Null Drifter going to come with a evoke, allowing our Izzet Eldrazi player to draw 2 cards. No real threats going on, so we're fine with that. Another Thoughtseize. Let's keep going. Jund Saga, looking through what is available. Not a lot of mana available right now. Sire is there. Devour is there. Null Rod and Talisman. So, I mean, Talisman's going to get played next turn. That puts the player to, 4 mana on the following turn. 5-6 potentially if they've got Ugin's Labyrinth. So things are scary. So in the anticipation of the eventual getting to 7 mana, Sire is stripped away again. Stomping ground. Again, no second black source. That fetch land, we needed it to resolve. Oh, Talisman gets cast. Active player, turn 0.
I'll say turn 0. Because you were passing when the bell.
And we're going to count our Jund Saga player as turn 0 because basically the player, Izzet Eldrazi player, was saying pass turn as the alarm went off to let us know that that was time in the round. So Thoughtseize is going to get used again. We know what's left in the hand, and we can kind of again strip away all the scary things. So Sire getting stripped away, Devour getting stripped away, and all of this damage being done to our Saga player has no problem hurting themselves here. So like I said, it used to be a Jund Shadow list, and now it is just the Jund Saga side of things. But another mountain, because who needs a second black source? Not us. That would be crazy. Kozilek's command going to come down. We're going to try to make some spawns and scry and draw a card. Not bad for the top 3 here. Like, you're setting yourselves up a Devour to be used. You see another Kozilek's command available to us. Yeah, so we'll go with this. Like, the Kozilek, I don't know. Like, Butcher is too slow, right? You need to try to hit a Kozilek's or something. I mean, this is turn 3, though. Okay, Eldrazi Temple. Yeah, I guess we just try to set up for the following turn. We're digging. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or sorry, 6 is getting paid into it. 8 total cards. 6 are getting paid in, and we're again digging. We're digging. We need to get a creature out, but really we needed to play a creature this turn. So having 6 Eldrazi spawns still available, essentially we can cast any of our 7 drops.
I don't think they ran Guard Reach actually back in the day.
But we don't, like,
No, they did.
no Sire, no nothing. Draw a Bolt here. Turn 4. There's the Saga. And passing back over. And it's a draw. 1-1-1 between the players. The grindiness of both decks kind of stopping ourselves.
I had both these in my hand and got greedy. Like, I knew you had those.
Well, yeah, we had both those in hand. So we had Thoughtseize and Break the Ice in hand. We knew we wrote down, we knew exactly what was there. If we had just played the Thoughtseize and waited an extra turn, we could have blown up the Null Drifter there, but we got greedy and got for it. But it's okay. 1/1/1, we'll take it. Very cool to see Izzet Eldrazi on camera. We see a little bit of the sideboard stuff available for our players here and what they're able to play and grab there. But I hope you guys have been enjoying all of our modern action. Again, we've got a lot more games coming up in the future every Monday and Thursday for gameplay action, and a lot more stuff still in queue, still in the works for you guys to be able to enjoy. We've got some like Omnath games coming up here, some creativity stuff, some Knights of Reliquary stuff, all kinds of goodies in queue. But that's going to do it for us. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching, everyone, and I'll see you all next game.